Hey everybody, thought I would do a quick video on sunscreen for the winter because I have a friend that always asks me about this. She's actually barely likes to wear sunscreen in the summer. So what I thought today was pull out some of my faves and talk about what I do during the winter months, especially this is not really pertaining to what I do outdoors. It's mostly pertaining to what I do indoors. If you're new here, I'm Christina-Laia. I'm a professional television producer and presenter, and I did present the weather for the national channel here in Canada that does the weather, because we do have bits of the weather on various regional networks and national news channels as well. And then I also did it live for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. You may remember me, I was predominantly on the weekends. Nevertheless, I spent a lot of time with meteorologists, forecasters, Environment Canada. I also worked with an app that wanted me to do the weather. So I did delve into the UV index quite a bit. That's the ultraviolet ray index, because I am a beauty enthusiast. So I'm going to combine just very little science for this video, but predominantly I'm going to give you, I think, some very practical information. It's not advice. I'm not a board certified derm, of course, but the derms have done a great job of explaining, I think, the UV index and the importance of wearing sunscreen. And there's a lot of information published in literature as well. So let's talk about what I do during the winter months. During the winter months, when the UV index is 3 and under, it is generally safe to go outside without sunscreen. The UV index is an international ultraviolet scale that lets everybody know what's going on outdoors, okay? But that is not an indicator of what you should be doing in general, and I'll tell you why. You're not spending 24 hours outdoors, number one. There may or may not be snow where you are. Right now there's snow where I am, so the snow reflects off the sun and it's extremely bright. Now you're spending a lot of time indoors surrounded by light. And what kind of light is this? Well, it's not UVA, the one that ages you. It's not UVB, the one that burns you. Those are both external. It is the high energy frequency, okay? So this comes from televisions and mobiles and computer screens. Now, we all know the importance of light on the human body. It has both positive and negative effects. However, an abundance of the high energy frequency light, or the blue light, can be very harmful to us. So that's why it's important to protect ourselves. How do we protect ourselves from this high energy frequency? Well, the main ingredient that you need is something called iron oxides. It's what gives, it's what gives these products the color, the tint. So you have a tinted moisturizer with SPF. There you go. You've got your protection there from the blue light because it's got the iron oxides. This Dermatology Universal Tinted Moisturizer SPF gives you a beautiful glow, sheer glow. No, don't expect this to work like makeup though. That also is protective. This one, by the way, for me works like makeup. It covers up blemishes and redness, what have you. Just to give you an example, quick story, I decided to forego sunscreen the last few days when the UV index was 0, then 1, then 2. And when I came back indoors, I had super rosy cheeks, flare-ups of rosacea, broken capillaries, and even a welt here that I monitored that is not going away because I was filming my television series. Currently, it's a travel and culinary series. And I specifically remember going in to do makeup for the culinary portion, and it was a big lump. So what I get, if you have rosacea, you probably go through something similar. I get hives and flare-ups in extreme conditions. Extreme heat, extreme cold. Either one will give me a flare-up, and they can be super nasty, and they can become pimples as well. So much so that my dermatologist a few years ago prescribed ivermectin, which is super strong, and I'm supposed to use it all the time, but I only use it when I have a flare-up coming, and it is, you guys, in Canadian dollars, it cost me about $240 for probably a tube this big. Think of a toothpaste tube. So you don't want to have to go down that route. So what I found the best thing to do during the winter months is just to get a beautiful either tinted sunscreen or a tinted moisturizer like the Misha, the Elf, the It Cosmetics, or this one is my fave, the Dermatology Universal. The Purito is a little bit heavy for me for every day, I find. Get one of those if you like to do a one stop. You do that in the morning and then you are protected throughout the day. I also like to layer sometimes because I find my skin needs a variety of ingredients for skincare. And so I'll do my regular skincare and then I'll top it off. If I'm spending a lot of time, especially indoors, I will top it off with this. If I'm going to be outdoors, I can use a non-tinted during the winter months outdoors. And it may sound like an oxymoron, but it actually works. Like I just gave you that example about my rosacea flare-up and spending a lot of time indoors as well. Especially like we're looking at our phones, we're looking at the screens. And this includes LED lights too, because I'm surrounded by a variety of different lighting throughout the day. And then also if you're filming professionally like me as well, you all know how harsh those lights can be. And a tail test is you can feel your eyes get really tired, which is why they also have those blue light ray glasses. I do have another piece of information that you could consider advice when it comes to the UV index. So this is what I do. I have my favorite weather app downloaded, for example, AccuView, and then every day, wherever you are in the world, you check the weather in the morning, right? Of course, want to know how to do our hair, makeup, and clothing. So if you go down hour by hour, it will actually give you the UV index for the day. And if that's going to change, then it'll also notify you. And it'll give you all that info. Look at that every single day and get accustomed to looking at it. Okay, it's 1 today, it's 0 today, it's 3 today. For example, it was 0 where I am 2 days ago, and then today it was 2. And then I thought, my gosh, if it says 3, I really should be wearing the sunscreen outside. And it'll really demonstrate to you how most of the time you really are indicated or you really are being informed to get that sunscreen on because it's reaching 3. As we mentioned, when you're indoors and you're not going to be outdoors at all, you still want to put that sunscreen on for the iron oxides and all the various light. But I'd say that app is really going to become your best friend, and it's really easy to educate yourself on that. You don't need to take a course in this to understand it. You can do a little bit of reading, become very comfortable and familiar with looking at the UV index, understanding it, and then just knowing that, hey, I need to protect myself from the external lighting, which is the UVA, the UVB, as well as the internal lighting, which is the high energy frequency. It's going to become natural to you and become like a habit, which is probably the most important thing in my opinion when it comes to taking care of ourselves, skincare and hair care. Once it becomes a habit like second nature, you're not even going to think about it. You're just going to go ahead and do it, and then you're automatically going to get the benefits. So overall, I'd say continue, like my opinion, just opinion, not advice. My opinion would be like continue to use like your sunscreen and or a tinted moisturizer during the winter months. Again, you need to adjust depending on what you're doing, but I would definitely keep it handy, especially if you have sensitive skin. You want to avoid any rosacea flare-ups, and I can definitely tell you that my rosacea flares in extreme temperatures. So just protect your beautiful skin, since we do such a good job protecting it, and there's a lot of info of how to protect it against the UVA and UVB all summer long. We should also be protecting it from the blue light, the high energy frequency during the winter months when we're spending a lot of times indoors. So I hope that was helpful to everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Peace soon.